Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody who's joined us here this evening for this program of ours. We hope you will enjoy your time here and that you'll get substantial information that will help you and your families. This is Emergency Preparedness Friday. We want to welcome all of you here. As we've been doing for quite some time, we're going to start this evening off with a salute to the United States of America. I would ask you all now to please rise for the singing of the national anthem and the repetition of the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave blue through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet, performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. I would keep putting this on the air. One, we have permission to do it. Number two, I keep putting this on the air because this is probably one of the finest renditions of that beautiful hymn. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light. God bless our military. They're here in the United States, that may also be abroad. It doesn't matter whether they are the Army, Marines, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Navy, or Space Force. We love and appreciate each and every one of them. God bless our allied military forces as well. Countries that are allied with the United States to help protect the world. And we help protect them. May God bless them that they may all return home to their families after their tours of duty end. Thank you for your service, gentlemen and ladies. We love and appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for what you do. You make it easier for the rest of us. God bless you. And know that we love you. We love each and every one of you that are here with our program tonight. Now, last night, we talked about a lot of different things. Last night, Linda Covington asked me a question about an organization that has a huge collider over in Switzerland. That organization is this organization right here. I hope you can see it. This organization right here, CERN. I'm not going to say the name, and please don't put this in the chat. That organization there is just as bad as the other one that I've shown you before. Linda Covington asked me whether that organization lighting off their particle accelerator possibly would have an effect on earthquakes worldwide. I don't know, but I would think it would, because that particle accelerator is putting out radiation. That radiation also heats up the plates, heats up the earthquake faults to cause earthquakes worldwide. Now, they say it doesn't have any effect on humans, but it does. They want to light it up because they're testing it to see what effect it will have on our world, to see whether it would have a positive or a negative effect on us. Folks, whenever you meet and mix with God and His creation, it will have an effect. It will have an effect, whatever it is. I've come to know that as a fact. Why? Because I watched it. I've watched it have an effect on each one of our lives. Now, I don't like it. I don't like the government mixing in and terrifying us with their scientific breakthroughs. Because many times their scientific breakthroughs hurt each one of us and kill people and injure people. I don't like it at all. I don't think you do either. Now, I want to thank Linda Covington for asking the question, even though last night I didn't quite understand it. I appreciate her asking it. It makes a great deal of difference, because we were talking about that other organization last night. I might as well identify it since we're here anyway. This organization right here. This organization here lit off their high altitude electronic arrays over in Alaska and various other locations. On December 26th and December 28th, 2019, they lit off their electronic arrays in Norway, Russia, and over in northwestern Australia, resulting in a huge earthquake, a major 8.0 earthquake on December 26th over in Puerto Rico. A major 8.0 earthquake in Puerto Rico on December 26th, causing a lot of hate and discontent, causing death and destruction. But it wasn't good enough for just one earthquake, because on December 28th, they lit all three of those facilities off again, resulting in an 8.4. Resulting in an 8.4 magnitude major earthquake, killing people, further destroying property in Puerto Rico. Folks, why would you do that? especially right after Christmas. I don't agree with it. They've also been using those electronic arrays to manage weather. Mismanage weather. To alter weather. Creating stronger and stronger tornadoes. Stronger and stronger hurricanes as well. Folks, it's sad. The last two hurricanes that hit the United States, both in Florida, Georgia, South and North Carolina, I believe those electronic arrays were lit off to do that as well. Why else would a large hurricane go further north from Florida and stay as powerful as it was and destroy property and lives in Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina as well? Incredible. I hope at some point in time we can hold those people responsible for what they've done. That remains to be seen. I don't have any documentation on the CERN, but we have plenty of documentation to go on showing that the other organization has messed with our weather and has messed with earthquakes. We've proven it. I will continue to keep an eye on this. And if I see things happen, I will notify you all immediately. It's incredible what happens. It really is. Anyway, let's get on with tonight's program. I have a lot of information to talk to you about it. We have some serious issues to talk about, especially during the next 5 days. Here in the United States, we're going to start an election. It's actually already started. But the main day for the election is November 5th, which is Tuesday this next week. We're now a little less than 5 days away from Election Day, November 5th. First off, we have the despicable left. They've called us on the right deplorable before. They called us evil. The latest thing that they called us was garbage earlier this week. The President of the United States labeled us as garbage. 250 million citizens labeled garbage. I love the word deplorable that Hillary Clinton called us. I love being deplorable. Hillary was deplorable. Hillary was also evil. We all know that. But what has happened this election period during the past 2.5 years with Biden and Kamala Harris? They have done despicable things. And they continue to do it. They continue to do it. First off, they've been flooding our airways with nothing but crap. Flooding our airways, radio, television, and social media with crap. Now, all of us can do something about that. And I think most of us have done a pretty good job with that. The number one thing is get out the vote. We've been talking about this for a long time. Those of us here in the United States can do something about helping us here in the United States and also helping those other countries around the world that see us here on this channel. What happens here in the United States affects all countries around this world. What happens here affects everybody else around the world. including on our own continent. Canada, the citizens of the U.S. and Alaska, and down in Mexico as well. It affects everybody. But again, I'm asking you this one thing. If you have already not voted, please do so during the next 4 days. Do not let another day go by without voting. It's absolutely important. It's life-altering. It's life-altering. Now be advised. I've been told that the left is going to do their darndest to make sure that Trump does not take office. The left already has attorneys that have filed lawsuits to stop President Trump from taking office, and also to help alter the results of the election. We've seen the left altering the machines. 3 different machines are part of this election season. 3 different companies are supplying these machines. One machine may be different from the other, but they're basically doing the same thing, counting votes. I've seen things happen in my lifetime with these vote counting machines. The last time it personally affected me was back in 2012, when Barack Obama was running against Mr. Romney. My philosophy back then was anybody but Obama. Yes, at the time I kind of liked Romney, but Romney is as evil as they come as well. But every time I tried to vote for Romney, the machine that I was asked to vote on was coming up with Barack Obama. Now, if this happens this time in this election season with you, it won't be Obama's name that comes up. It will be Kamala Harris and Walz. If you want to vote for Trump, and every time you try to put President Trump and J.D. Vance's name in, and it goes into voting for Kamala Harris and Mr. Walz, stop right there. Don't do anything else with the machine. Stop right there and raise your hand. Get the attention of an election poll worker, or what they call an election judge at that precinct. Raise your hand. Make sure you get their attention and have them come over to the machine you're at and show them what happens. Make sure that the machine that you're working on is not allowed to count that vote for Miss Harris. Now, in my case, back in 2012, the election worker said I needed to make a paper ballot. So I voted a paper ballot. The bad thing about that, I submitted that ballot in full trust that my ballot would be counted. 2 weeks after I was home after the election, I got a letter in the mail from the Salt Lake County Registrar of Voters Office saying that my vote wasn't counted, and gave me some stupid off-the-wall reason why it wasn't. That will not be accepted this time. I promise you, if I get that or you get that again, I'm going to raise all kinds of cane, and you should as well. You should raise all kinds of cane because it's not legal. Your vote should be counted. Your vote should be counted. Do not let them get away with it. I talked last night about passwords over in Colorado. The Colorado voting machine passwords were leaked to the internet way back in June. And it wasn't until this past week that the leak was found out about. Then the State Registrar of Voters Office, the Secretary of State of Colorado, decided in her mind that she may tell the public about it. Ms. Gridwald in Colorado was not even going to go public until she was forced to do it. And then she said, oh, it's not that big a deal. It was only a partial password. It was only a partial password that had been leaked. It doesn't matter whether it was 3 letters or 10 letters. The password was leaked. It should not have been. What happened in Colorado should not ever be allowed to happen again. None of these voting machines are doing their jobs. They never have. I personally have had issues with those voting machines for the past 10 plus years. Those machines cannot be trusted. Why? Because the left keeps altering the machines. They keep altering the data. They say they don't, but they do. It was done in 2020. President Trump stood up and said, I'm challenging the election. And yet, the Democrat, communist left of our society challenged him. And they tried to put him in jail over it. Oh, there's not been any irregularities. Yes, there had been. And the left-wing Democrat communists of our government tried to cover it up. Back about 3 years ago, after the 2020 election was had, the Democrat left, controlled by a man named Schiff from San Francisco, California. We called him Pencil Neck Schiff. He was a liar, he was a cheater, he was a thief. He stole documentation from a skiff. A skiff. What's a skiff, you might ask? It's a room within the government complex at the capital of the U.S. in Washington, D.C. It's supposed to be a top secret place where you can only view top secret data, and it cannot be taken out of the room. Pencil Neck Schiff took it out of the room. He took the data out of the room. Then he tried to hold the data responsible for Trump. Trump had nothing to do with it. Pencil Neck Schiff and Liz Cheney, the daughter of Dick Cheney, who was the Vice President of the United States under President Bush. There was a time I respected Dick Cheney. Now I don't. I have reason to believe that Dick Cheney is about as bad as anybody. And Liz Cheney is worse. But Pencil Neck Schiff and Liz Cheney were part of this committee that investigated the 2020 election and tried to hold Trump responsible. Trump had nothing to do with it. But the Democrat left controlled that election. And they tried to say that President Trump didn't know what he was talking about. And yet he did. Thousands upon thousands of votes were altered in Georgia. Thousands and thousands of votes were altered in Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Texas, and literally across the United States. And yet this Democrat communist left tried to say Trump didn't know what he was talking about. He did. They're still doing the same thing now. Saying that Donald J. Trump doesn't know what he was talking about. He does. They've called him every name in the book. When Miss Harris said that she worked at McDonald's as a young girl, wrong. McDonald's does not have any record of her working there. Miss Harris has told lie upon lie, and Trump has caught her. The Republican Party, the Conservative Party, has caught her in lie after lie after lie. The same thing with the running mate. Timmy Pinhead Waltz tried to put tampons in men's restrooms, in high school men's restrooms in Minnesota. That's stupidity. That's plain stupidity. Trying to say men had periods and they don't. How insane is that? Tim Walz is a communist, a card-carrying communist. Harris says she's not a communist, but that's exactly what she is. She's a Marxist communist. Her father was a card-carrying Marxist. She followed in his footsteps. She couldn't even pass her bar exams, but one time she got lucky. She just got lucky. Finally passed her bar exams. She became an attorney. She never did prosecute any kind of a case as an attorney. But she ran for Attorney General. District Attorney first in San Francisco. She got that. Then she ran for Attorney General of California. Kamala Harris then said that she'd prosecuted hundreds of cases of drug abuse and held those people in prison. As it turns out, she prosecuted one case as a lead attorney for that particular case. She prosecuted one case, and yet she said she prosecuted hundreds of cases. It was also said that she had discriminated against prisoners in the jails, holding black men in jails and using them as slaves in the jails. Oh, Kamala Harris is such a wonderful person, isn't she? She's BS. She's BS. BS with a capital B and capital S. And you can fill in the other letters there as well. I have no respect for those people, and neither do many of you. But these Democrat communists have continued to use these machines for our elections. And now we're finding that those machines still have problems. They're not counting ballots like they should. There's over 77,000 ballot problems in Pennsylvania, and that figure is growing. I believe it's closer to 300,000 problems with ballots already in Pennsylvania. Ballots in Georgia also have problems. I'm finding out ballot problems here in North Carolina. Ballot problems in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota. Ballot problems in Texas and other states around this country. And yet the left says there's no problems. Colorado, there's tons of ballot problems that they won't even admit to. but they want us to continue to use the machines. President Trump said when he's elected, we will go back to paper ballots. We'll go back to paper ballots. For the most part, they use paper ballots in Florida. Unreal. Unreal. Yet we're supposed to just believe everything we're told. Now, again, I'm going to tell you, if you have already or not already voted, do so. But look out for those machines changing our votes. That's happened to me in 2012, and it continues to happen across this nation. That's the biggest thing we need to look for right now. But the mother of all elections is going to hit us in the head in just 5 days. The mother of all elections is going to happen whether we're aware of it or not in just 5 days. You voting for Donald Trump and it coming up as Kamala Harris is a problem. A huge problem. The polls have been giving out paper ballots because of what the machines are doing. If you have a problem with your machine, raise your hand, don't go any further, show the people at your precinct what's going on, and take and request a paper ballot. And request the poll worker make sure your ballot is counted. You can get a receipt to follow up with your registrar of voters to make sure your ballot is counted. You pay attention on how you're voting and you see this happen. Again, stop right there, don't go any further. Raise your hand. Explain what's going on and get some help. If they can't change that machine, stop, have them give you a paper ballot. That's the best thing you can do. Make sure your ballot is counted. Now, next week we'll be having an entirely different discussion. And I'm going to tell you why. I want to ask now a question. What happens when President Trump wins? What's going to happen when President Trump wins? As Glenn Beck stated the other day, I know we're putting the cart before the horse because Election Day, November 5th, hasn't come yet. What if Trump wins? When Trump wins, we'll be dealing with at least 2 weeks of street demonstrations. We're going to be dealing with at least 2 weeks of street demonstrations that may be turning violent. Those demonstrations will be violent to the extent that we saw 3 years ago during the middle of the COVID crisis in Washington, Oregon, California, Minnesota, Michigan, and across the United States. Antifa protesting. It will make what happened with Antifa 3 years ago look like child's play. When Trump wins, there will be demonstrations in the streets. The left wing of the Democrat Communist Party has already got these protesters aligned with their party. And all the Democrat Party has to do is blow the whistle to release these protesters, these demonstrators out in the streets. We will see and hear a barrage of mainstream media and politicians attacking us on our airwaves. The mainstream media and the alternative media. They're going to attack us on our airwaves with slogans like we haven't heard recently, that this election was rigged. We've been talking about this election rigged for the last 4 years, because it was. But when President Trump wins, the left wing of the Democrat Party, the communists, are going to come out saying the election's rigged. I am hoping and praying, as you should be as well, hoping and praying that this election blows everybody's expectations away. There is such a win that they cannot rig it at all. The Democrats won't have a choice at all. There has to be such a high voter count for President Trump that the Democrats won't know what's going on. Otherwise, we're going to see these demonstrations in the streets, and we may see them as well anyway. It's going to happen. The mainstream media and the Democrats, Harris and Walz, now everybody else, are going to say that Trump got help from Elon Musk. True. Trump got help from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. True. Trump got help from a lot of people, including me. I've already heard the mainstream media saying that President Trump got help from Elon Musk with Putin's baby. That the election is being controlled by Russia. Already we're hearing that. It has nothing to do with Russia at all. There's going to be lawsuit after lawsuit contesting this election and contesting the voter count. Then 2 months from now, what else is going to happen? Can anybody tell me what else is going to happen 2 months from now? First, let's go back here. Winning the vote. We have already had pre-election voting. It's legalized. Hopefully we will go back to one-day voting like it used to be. There's going to be mass protests going on. In some places there already have been. We've seen protesters going on all year long against Israel. And these Antifa protesters plastering anti-U.S. stickers all over monuments throughout Washington, D.C. and elsewhere. Destroying property. Burning flags. I don't agree with burning flags. Heaven forbid I ever find somebody burning a flag. President Trump and Congress, hopefully when President Trump is elected, are going to make it a felony for burning a flag. A felony punishable by 1 year in prison, at least. We've been voting, haven't we? Hopefully we're going to win the vote. Then we have to have the counter, don't we? We have to do the count. Mass voting is going on all around the U.S. and even abroad. Absentee ballots are already coming into the United States. And they're already being mishandled through many states across the country. We have to win the count. Swing state recounts. The left isn't going to believe what has happened. So the Democrat Communist Party is going to have swing state recounts. We already know that the swing states here in the United States, Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Florida are already voting for Trump. So the Democrat Communist Party is going to have and call for swing state recounts. They're going to try to trash the people that voted for President Trump. We know that. Then they're going to work with lawfare, just like they've been doing for quite some time now, trying to use the courts against President Trump to disqualify the vote. There's already several hundred lawsuits have been filed by the Democrat Party in the walk-up to this election. Then what else is going to happen? Then we have to Then we have to win the actual contestant to the vote. Congress. Congress has to approve the vote on January 6th. Congress has to approve the vote, the certification. Little Miss Kamala Harris, who's been running for the presidency of the United States, is already the vice president. Usually the vice president is the one that certifies the election. There's a problem with it this time. Because again, she's the vice president and she's the one been running for election. That means the certification of the election will fall back to Congress, the House of Representatives. Speaker Mike Johnson has already said that he will rally Congress behind President Trump. And already, before January 20th, when the new seats in Congress will be sworn in, and President Trump sworn into office, Mike Johnson has already said that there are already enough votes from the Republicans in Congress to certify the election. What happens then? They still are going to try to keep him from taking office. Trump stealing the election. Then what happens after that? 5 steps to victory. What happens after that? Winning through the end. Winning through the end. President Trump and all the rest of us are going to have to put up with the protests on the street, the demonstrators, and the others causing problems, hurting and killing our citizens around this country. And this will be ongoing for years. It will be ongoing for years because Kamala Harris and the Democrat communists are going to protest their loss. We have to plan on getting through the next few years after the election. Why? Why? Because the Democrats don't want to relinquish power. It's power. It's power that she wants. It's power that she's had. Like I said, Congress is going to be the deciding factor come January 6th in organizing the majority of the congressmen, the Republican congressmen in the House, to certify the election. If Trump wins a close election, all this that I've talked about tonight is a possibility and even more. The Democrats have sought to create chaos across this country. The Democrats have sought to create chaos around the United States. Border to border, east to west, north to south. And they're going to do it. They're going to do it, guys. There is no doubt in my mind that they are going to do it. What's going to happen? Are you and I going to be caught up in this? Are you and I going to be caught up in this? With what's going on? What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? This could cause a full-blown constitutional crisis, characterized by political chaos, widespread threats of violence, and sporadic violence in the streets, just like we had 3 years ago during the COVID break in Washington, Oregon, and California, and other states around this country. Widespread media misinformation. Widespread media misinformation being disseminated to the public. And actual violence in the streets. Violence in the streets, guys. That's their plan. They called for Biden ordering a succession of states that would leave the republic. They thought that they could call for a succession of states, meaning some states here in the U.S. leaving the republic. So there would no longer be 50 states. Allowing for a majority of forcing votes to be counted from the left coast and some on the right coast, which then would give the election to Kamala. The left Democrat Party recounts the votes in the swing states, like I said, forcing a vote in Washington, D.C., and even possibly Puerto Rico for statehood. Trying to force Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico to be 51st and 52nd states of the country. They've talked about splitting California into 5 different states. Splitting California into 5 different states, thus giving California more electoral votes. This is what the left has been telling the public to oust President Trump. The left has been telling the public for 2 years that President Trump was doing this. But it was not President Trump. It was the Democrat Communist Party. It was the Democrat Communist Party all along. Now, are all of you going to get behind President Trump? Are all of us going to get behind President Trump and make sure that we get the results of this election? And then we get the results of this election on November 5th and not allow this kind of chaos to happen in our country and spread literally around the world? Are we going to allow that to happen? I'm hoping and praying that we don't. I'm hoping and praying that we can get control of our country. All of us and our neighbors, our friends, our family, making sure we all get to vote. If you haven't already voted yourself, grab at least 5 or 10 others, family members or neighbors, and take them to the polls with you. Take them to the polls with you. This is important to make sure we get the highest number of votes possible. It's absolutely critical. We're not going to have another go-round on this. It's a one-time takes all. It's a one-time takes all situation. But it goes a little bit further. I want now to take you to a clip by Glenn Beck from the Glenn Beck show from about 2 days ago. Please watch this clip that I have keyed up for us. I think it's the only thing that we can do to make sure that we have the vote here in the United States to make sure we go forward and not have the problems that the Democrat Party has put out. Watch this clip and then we'll talk about it.
Groups have been rather quiet lately. Are they not planning anything, or are they staying under the radar? Well, my next guest, I think, might have an answer for us. She's next. There are several ways you can try to deal with the aches and pains in your life. Probably the most popular one is taking the stuff that only masks your pain. And then you go about your day, really just kind of foggy. But it's either that or you just grit your teeth and push through it. Before long, you realize, I have to do something different, something better. Truth is, you need something that is going to defeat that pain, not just mask it. Let me tell you about Relief Factor. It's a daily 100% drug-free supplement that doesn't simply mask your pain for a short time. It helps your body eliminate it for good. It uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that support your body's response to inflammation. Over 1 million people have tried Relief Factor, and 70% of them have gone on to order more. So give Relief Factor a try with their 3-week quick start. It's only $19.95. It's less than $1 a day. Try it now. See if it can help you turn back the clock on pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF, or ReliefFactor.com. Joining me now is journalist and author Azra Nomani. She is a former Wall Street Journal reporter, a former Georgetown journalism professor, among many other things on her resume. She is also an expert on Islamic extremism, terrorism, and countering radicalization. Most recently, she's been digging into the malign foreign influence behind the anti-Israel protest movement. Azra, welcome to the program. Let me start with what you're doing right now. This movement on our campuses has been a lot quieter than they promised to be last spring during the fall. Is that coordinated with the left? Is that going to pose a bigger problem once the election happens?
Oh, it's absolutely coordinated with the left. The Islamists, as you know, are the radical Muslims who want to not only overthrow the United States, but the state of Israel. And so they came together in this network that I call the Woke Army, the red, which is the communists, and the green, which is the Islamists. And Glenn, you've been a leader in educating people about this, and I know that you could never have imagined it would have played out like it has over the last year, but they are not going away. I just read another tweet by somebody related to the election next week saying, we will never stop. We will never stop until this system is destroyed. And what is the system that they hate? From the left is the capitalists, and from the Islamist side, it is the freedoms that we know. And so I see them gearing up for next week. Glenn, I just watched your segment just now, and you are calling it spot on. People need to be aware.
I really hate to hear that.
You hate to be a good fortune teller, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, because I don't ever tell good fortunes.
Yeah.
So tell me, is there a way to escape all of this? Is there something that could happen next week, a landslide for one side or the other?
Well, Donald Trump absolutely needs to win by a landslide if we are to not see the chaos that you are predicting. Okay. It is going to go from the courts to the streets, just as you're laying out. And I just sent a request for comment from our friend Mark Elias because, it's so ironic. This man who is a lawyer and presenting himself as a defender of democracy is the soldier, really, in the courts, performing this legal warfare, and he's very proud of it. But the irony that I asked him for comment about is that he gets money through sources that we don't know. He is always railing against dark money, and yet he has funds, millions of dollars of money coming in through that network that you've also educated people about called the Arabella Network. And why does that matter to what you're saying? Because in the courts, we have a multi-million-dollar effort to try to undo any victory that might happen by Donald Trump. And then in the streets, I know that the far left and the Islamists are gearing up to hit the streets in protest. They want chaos. And the project that you mentioned is because they want to influence our democracy.
So in a minute, I'm going to show the latest of what we can find on their plan for this time around, and it's not pretty. What advice do you have? I mean, you're part of your education and what you do is trying to dismantle extremism. What's the best thing that the Trump supporter can do when they're watching their country burn down, if that happens?
Well, I take a lesson from Martin Luther King's Nonviolence Project. He says the first thing that we have to do in any effort is educate. And so I'm going to quickly inoculate folks to what they're going to see next week. So this is a poster from Donald Trump's victory in 2016. And you laid out for folks how this was played out in 2020, but it went as far back as 2016. Immediately, the Muslim organizations came out with these slick and glossy posters about their Muslim vote. And what did they immediately do? They galvanized on the streets with the far left. And these are the images, right, that we love of a democracy, the Statue of Liberty, and what they talked about was the alleged Muslim ban that they were hyperbolic about. And what they had is their convenient hashtags. So people need to understand that this is an orchestrated effort, first of all, and that it is led by institutions and organizations, many of them getting support from like-minded ideologues in China, Iran, Russia, and even North Korea. And so, first of all, know that this is not just spontaneous, as CNN and MSNBC will report. I'll be there at the White House, and I will see these signs, just like the ones I'm going to show you right here. What is that about? It's about Iran, and this was after Donald Trump came to office, and it was about Iran. Diplomacy makes us safer, and it was about diplomacy with the theocrats of Iran. And what's the fine print, Glenn? Can you read it?
MoveOn.org, it looks like.
It's MoveOn.org.
Jeez.
And what was MoveOn.org? What was MoveOn.org? It was created after President Bill Clinton got into a little bit of trouble, and the left and the Democrats wanted to MoveOn.org. And so if Donald Trump has a victory on Tuesday, they will want to move on to repeal that victory. So just like you said, a landslide is needed.
Let me ask you, you have written about how this coalition is kind of shaking apart, and you're seeing it with the Muslim communities. Tell me about, is it shaken apart enough to break it, or what are you seeing?
Well, it's such shifting alliances, and they are not to be trusted. So what has happened right now is, for two issues, the traditional Islamist and Muslim establishments are breaking away from the Democratic Party. And so one issue was after October 7th, and the Democratic Party didn't, go all in supporting Hamas. And then the second issue was this war on children that's happening in K through 12 schools. So former President Trump received a ringing endorsement from Muslim organizations and imams even in Michigan this last weekend, and they cited the schools and K through 12 curriculum as one of the reasons why they were aligning now with Donald Trump. And then the second issue is that we have Muslims who are saying that they will not vote for Kamala Harris, but they're going for Jill Stein or Cornel West. And they're called uncommitteds, but they're shifting that way. And I want to just show people how they are going after the Democratic Party. They created this poster in which they coined "Stop Genocide Joe" and "Stop Killer Kamala."
Wow.
Because how are they united? They want to destroy the West.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I know it's sometimes easy to say, oh, they're always in bed with the Democrats. But the truth is, they're going to throw the Democrats under the bus, just like they always do, to get to their end goal.
Azra, I'd love to have you.
America.
I'd love to have you on either later this week or early next week to prepare as many people as possible to be ready for what is coming next week. I pray for a landslide, but I don't know how likely that is. But you're right, it's going to take that to be able to survive this like a normal election, I fear. Azra, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, that's the clip that I wanted to play for you. I believe what she said is true. I believe what this lady said is true. The Democrat Party is going to try to destroy us. They're going to use every angle to try to destroy us. It's up to us to take control. It's up to us to go vote. Make sure our vote counts. Make sure our vote counts, guys. Now, please go vote. Now, I want to ask you some questions now. I'm trying to gear up for next week. Yes, we're going to start off Monday, as we normally do, talking about earthquakes and other things. Yes, I want to talk about what is going on here in the U.S. some as well. Tuesday is Election Day. The first part of the program on Tuesday, I'm going to devote to earthquakes and other issues that confront us. Then, after the first hour, starting at 7 p.m., the polls are going to close here on the East Coast. We'll start getting some tallies from the East Coast as to who is going to win. We should have a good idea of what's going on after the polls close here on the East Coast. My question is to you. Do you want me to stay on the air, or do you want to go to Glenn Beck or other people like him to get the vote tallies? Or do you want to stay on the air with me and I'll pull the vote tallies from across the internet and around the world? I'm willing to do it both ways. Okay? I'm willing to talk about the earthquakes and things for the first hour until 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. And then let you go and watch the votes come in around the country and around the world. Or I stay on the air and put the votes out for you as I pull the information. What would you like me to do on Tuesday? Do you want me to stay on the air? What would you like me to do? Canadian Patriot says, I'm in either way, brother, thanks. Sage Pup says, I'm here with you, Ron. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Tony. I really do. Who else is going to be here on here with me on Tuesday night? Don Patoka says he's going to abstain. I'm willing to do whatever you would like me to do. Mr. Maga says, love you, Ron. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Diane Cummins says, I think it would be cool for us to be live. Okay? I can do that. Demon Cummins says, I'm here, whatever you decide. Thank you, Dean. I appreciate that. Heidi Petrick says she'll be here. That's great. Now, what I'm thinking of doing Tuesday night is going back and forth between, say, Glenn Beck and other high-frequency news people around the country. There's quite a few people I can bring in. I will let them tell you this story as well. And I'll bring in just as much information as I can. But I'm planning to have my wife Carol here with us to try to help me bring in the vote. Okay? S. North says she would soon listen to me. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Sue. S. Norton, so good to see you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you so much. Terry Bell says that would be great. Okay? Folks, if I'm here, I would like to have a lot of people here joining me. I don't want to be here with just 25, 30 people. I want a full contingent of hundreds of people following us here, live, where I'm on the air. I want to get a full contingent of people because I want to be a force to be heard on this air, on YouTube. I want to get as many people watching this program as we possibly can. Okay? I want to be here for you. That's what I'm planning. Okay? That's what I'm planning right now. So I will plan right now to be on the air unless I hear more from you guys, letting me know what's going on. You can contact me on our email at rltnspdema@gmail.com, rltnspdema@gmail.com. I'm sorry, for some reason had the scroll taken down. Our email's here. Our post office box is here, 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code here is 28655. But right now, I will be here on the air with all of you. Don Howard says, I'd love to listen to you tell us what's going on. If Carol's on board with it, yes. I think Carol would be on board with it. Okay? Diane Kellman says, get your party favors up. Yes, that would be great as well. So I'll plan on that. Something else I need to tell you tonight. I want to go over the Pacific Northwest. This is the tremor map from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. It's showing tremors in Northern California around Mount Shasta. Around Mount Shasta, how about that? Only 132 tremors around Mount Shasta, showing supposedly the slow slip. It's not the slow slip. There are hundreds of tremors around Mount Shasta. Okay? But guess what? There are a lot of earthquakes in the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to stay away from volcanoes tonight. I'm going to stay away from volcanoes tonight. Let's go up to Grayland, Washington. Grayland, Washington. Look what's happening here. Yes, we're having tremors here. Grayland, Washington. But folks, guess what? It's not just tremors. Look what happened here this afternoon. First, a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Okay? This happened just after 1:19 p.m. 1:19 p.m. Like I said, it started with a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Then, seconds later, we had a 3.0 earthquake. These are not slow slip quakes, guys. These are full-blown earthquakes here in the Pacific Northwest along the coastline. Along the coastline of Washington and Oregon. That's what I'm showing you. How about Grays Harbor, Washington? Look at this. Here we see a lot of tremors as well. But what happened at 9:14 a.m. this morning? Over in the bottom right-hand corner, 9:14 a.m. What happened? 2.5, 2.6 earthquake. 2.5, 2.6 earthquake. Yes, there were some 1.7, 1.8 tremors. Granted, down here on the blue line here. Just after 9:31, 9:32 a.m. this morning. Otherwise, before that, it was a lot of tremors. Somewhere here also we see the magma coming into the volcanoes through these magma tunnels. Magma tunnels. Some of what we're seeing here is caused by magma here. Okay? Especially after midnight, say even 12, I'm going to say 12:25, 12:26 this morning on the red line over to the center right of your screen here. Incredible. Incredible. Let's continue on. That was Grays Harbor, Washington. How about Loomy Island? Loomy Island. For the most part, all we have here is tremors. However, we've been also having some 2.3, 2.4 earthquakes. Then this morning, just after 6 in the morning, about 6:07 this morning, we have a 3.0 earthquake on the black line there. 6:07 a.m. this morning, a 3.0 earthquake at Loomy Island, Washington. Yes, they're having a lot of tremors here. Let's continue. How about going over to Pacific County, Washington? Again, right along the coast. Look what's happening here. Top to bottom, side to side on this seismogram. A ton of tremors, guys. This is what we used to see before 2 or 3 years ago. When the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network saw me that I was broadcasting the information on this on my channel, they started limiting what they're showing. Well, guess what? There are a lot of slow slip tremors and there are a lot of other tremors happening here along the coastline of Washington and Oregon here. A lot of them, and you can see it right here. How about Radar Ridge, LaSalle, Washington? Look at this. Tremors. Tremors, guys, all up and down the coastline. USGS is not showing them, are they? The United States Geological Survey is not showing them. And over on the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network tremor map, they didn't show them either, did they? They showed tremors in Northern California, but nothing up here. Why not? Why not, guys? How about San Juan Island, Washington? Look at this. More and more tremors. Even last night after 6:02 p.m. last night, on the blue line on the top left, 2.2 earthquake. 2.2 earthquake among a bunch of tremors here. Let's go up to Nakata, Washington. The Washington Department of Wildlife Field Station. Showing a ton of tremors here. Why are they not showing these tremors on the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network tremor map? Hundreds of tremors here. Hundreds of tremors. Why are they not putting them up? Don Patoka says, oops, they had leftovers. Oh, they surely did. How about Orcas Island, Washington? Look at this. Yes, we had tremors, didn't we? Not as many as the last seismogram, but we had tremors here. But this morning, 11:13 a.m. this morning, we had a 3.0 earthquake. They didn't show that on the USGS map, and they most certainly didn't show it on the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network map. But so far we've shown 3.0 earthquakes that they're not showing on the USGS map. Why not? Inquiring minds want to know why not. How about Orcas Island at the airport, East Sound, Washington? Here we're showing a bunch of tremors as well. But we're also showing earthquakes. We are also showing a bunch of earthquakes here. 2.8, 2.9, 3.0 earthquakes this afternoon. Late this morning, early afternoon. Yet they say there's nothing going on. They say there's nothing going on. Why not? There's plenty going on. We have plenty of earthquakes going on in the Pacific Northwest. Why should we be concerned about it? Why do you think we should be concerned about it? Let's go over to Wishka, Washington. Wishka, Washington, we have several tremors. But again, this morning, 3:40 this morning. I'm not saying 3 this morning. 11:40 this morning. 11:40 this morning here on that blue line. Another 3.0 earthquake, huh? Folks, why am I showing you this? Why am I showing it to you? The answer is simple. The answer is simple. The answer is the USGS is not showing them. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network is not showing them on their map, are they? They don't want anybody knowing what's going on. Earthquakes going on up and down the coast. This whole area here is relative to the Cascadia seismic zone. It's all relevant to the Cascadia subduction zone, isn't it? Folks, we are having earthquakes. I believe we're getting ready to have a large earthquake. All the data points to it. All the data points to it, including at 6.0, 173 miles off the coast of Brandon, Oregon, on the Blanco fracture zone. Stuff is happening. Now I'm going to ask another question. If any of you are living over in the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network area of British Columbia, Canada, Washington, Oregon, and Northern California, are any of you prepared to have a major earthquake? Are any of you prepared knowing that there's going to be a major earthquake? A major earthquake that's going to change how we think about life in general. A major earthquake that can change our lives forever. It's coming. I'm asking each of you to prepare. Do you guys have an emergency first aid kit? Do you have a preparedness kit? Do you have emergency food? Do you have food storage? Do you have water? We are in the winter season now. Do you have coats and jackets and boots and scarves and mittens and gloves? Do you have long sleeve shirts and heavy duty pants? Are you ready for whatever's going to happen? This earthquake happened on January 26, 1700. It could happen again this year. It could happen next year. Are we ready for a major earthquake in the Cascadia subduction zone region? If not, you better get there. And you better get there soon. Do you have an emergency preparedness plan? Have you actually written out a plan? Have you written out a plan for what you're going to do when the earthquake happens? Or if Antifa takes to the streets again and starts making life unbearable, are you going to be able to leave your home and go elsewhere where you can still try to find some peace and harmony and keep your family safe? I hope so. When that earthquake happens, your domestic needs could be changed back to 1700, 1800. No power, no automobiles. Life can change in the blink of an eye. If the quake doesn't kill you, the tsunami could. I know I'm being kind of pointed to all of you who live in that area. But quite honestly, that quake will affect all of us, coast to coast, east to west, and north to south. Canada, Washington, Oregon, California, and all the way across the entire continent. All the way out to the East Coast. We all are going to be affected in some way with that earthquake. Well, those of us on the East Coast or over even in the central United States are probably only going to feel a 7.8, 8.0 earthquake. Because the seismic energy is going to diminish over miles. The seismic energy is going to diminish over distance. Maybe only a 6.0 to a 5.0 large earthquake by the time the seismic energy reaches the East Coast. Maybe not. Maybe we are going to feel the full brunt of the quake. Nobody's alive that can even tell us that. But I'm telling you right now, you need to have a preparedness plan. You need to have a preparedness plan. Up here on my bookshelf up here on my bookshelf, my wife and I have a plan that I wrote. It's 115 pages. It's a comprehensive plan. And I shared parts of that plan with you over the past 6 months, even the last year and a half. The reason I shared parts of it with you is to give you an idea of what you need to have in your emergency plan. Your plan may not meet the stringent needs of dealing with an earthquake, but your plan might have to deal with an oil field explosion, a tornado, hurricane-type winds, 60 to 150 miles an hour. It might have to do with a shooting in your local area. It might have to do with Antifa demonstrations and all kinds of hate and discontent. Your plan should be able to deal with all those things and more. You need to be ready. You need to be ready. Your time's coming. My time's coming. All of our lives are going to be affected about what's going to happen within the next 5-6 days, or even months. Our lives are going to be affected. I'm hoping each and every one of us are prepared. Make sure you're prepared, guys. I can't do it for you. If you go back through our programs where it says in the title, Emergency Preparedness, or in the title it says Emergency Preparedness, go back and review those programs. Those programs are for all of us. Those programs are for all of us. Go back and review those programs. In those programs, you're going to find valuable information that I've given you, that I've tried to help you with, that I've tried to answer your questions. If you have questions, send them to my email. Send them to my email. Those of you that have my telephone number, it's right smack dab in front of you, right up here. You can message me. You can ask me questions and I will respond to you. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I have always built this channel for emergency purposes. I built this channel for all of us. For our friends, our relatives, our family members. Folks, please use this information. Heed the information we've given you tonight. Our lives could be changed next week. Be prepared for change. Be prepared for change. It's coming. It's coming. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I love you. I've been here for each one of us for years now. Like I've said, I've been here on the air 5.5 years plus. Next April, it will be 6 years that I've been on the air. There's a reason. Because I care. Because I care. Folks, I've seen it happen. I've been doing disaster drills all around the United States before I did that. Before I started this program. I've done preparedness talks all around this country. I was a cop. I saw things happen. I know what needs to be done, and I've done it. And now I'm trying to help all of us. That's why we're here for you. That's why we're here for you. We appreciate your support as well. If you want to send us a card or a letter, send it to our post office box, 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code is 28655. If you want to support us with donations, you can send a donation to our post office box in a card or a letter, or you can send it over to our PayPal and Venmo addresses. Those addresses are in the top of our program description right below this program today, as is our physical address, as is our email address as well. I keep those addresses in front of you because we would like you to contact us. Carol and I would love to hear from you. Carol and I share everything. Now, brothers and sisters, I share spiritual directions with you as well. I read the scriptures, I share devotionals. I'm going to quote partially from the scripture, but I'm going to put in my own name. I, Ron, being born of goodly parents, therefore I was taught somewhat in all the learning of my father, and having seen many afflictions in the course of my days, nevertheless, having been highly favored of the Lord in all my days, having had a great knowledge of the goodness and the mysteries of God, therefore I make record of my proceedings in my days. This record is the Emergency Management Associates Program. The scripture goes on saying that this prophet of God in the scriptures made a record in the language of his fathers. I'm doing the same thing for you all. The record I have made is true. I made it with my own hand. I make it according to my knowledge, just like a prophet of the Lord has done. Many prophets and apostles have talked to us in the scriptures. And it came to pass, as he came unto the Lord, there came a pillar of fire and dwelt upon a rock before him. And he saw and heard much. And because of the things which he saw and heard, he did quake and tremble exceedingly. Prophets of God has spoken with our Savior. They've been scared. No man can see God and live. Men are changed. I have spoken with my Heavenly Father. No, I have never seen him. I have spoken with him. My life has changed. I was asked many years ago to start this program, and I have. I started this program for all of you. Through this program, I've met people from all over the world. Demon Catman from the east of England. We have met people from Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, and Finland. From Croatia and Romania. I've spoken to people in Indonesia, South America, New Zealand and Australia, and Japan, Costa Rica and Central America, and over in Mexico as well, and all over Canada. This program is an international program. And I've come to know all of you. And I love and appreciate each and every one of you. I speak your language. I share blessings from Jesus Christ with you. Brothers and sisters, I ask the Lord to be with you now. I love you. I want to continue sharing everything that I know with you. And I will. Many of you are my mods here that I've grown to love very much. Others of you are my family members that love you very much as well. I ask the Lord to bless you now. It's Friday. Usually I take Saturdays and Sundays off, except on Sundays I come back here to teach a Sunday school class called Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. I do that because I love to teach the gospel of Jesus Christ and share the blessings of the gospel with all of you. Please come back here Sunday at 12 noon or sometime after 12 noon and share Come Follow Me, the Savior Said with me and everybody else that's here. I love you, brothers and sisters, I really do. If anything else happens that all of us need to know about, whether it's tonight, tomorrow, whenever it happens, be advised, I will be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. May God be with you. May the peace and love of Jesus Christ be with you and your families. God be with you until we meet again. I love each and every one of you. You are my friends and loved ones. God be with you until we meet again. That's my prayer to each one of you. I hope you have a good night and a better tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Much love. We'll see you soon. God bless.